We're excited to see all of you here. We have a little echo problem. So, it's my fault. Thank you, Hassan. Oh, I don't need a microphone. I'm used to projecting. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sharing Our Stories, Phase 3. I'm Ann Crimmings, and we're so happy to have both an in-person audience and a Zoom and YouTube audience simultaneously. At least that's what we believe is happening. For its first few years, Sharing Our Stories was offered here at the library in person in this very room until March of 2020, when everything in the world shut down, including us. We came back to life in May of 2020, offering our programs on Zoom and YouTube, and that was phase 2. And we've done that since May of 2020. Tonight begins phase 3, where we are back to being in person and simultaneously on Zoom and YouTube. So this has been a little challenging to get set up tonight, but I think we're ready to go. So phase 3, here we go. We have a wonderful speaker tonight, Frank Hahn, who I will introduce in just a moment, but I do have a few brief announcements first. So I would like to thank Roger Bloker for recruiting Frank to be our speaker. And as always, I want to thank Hassan Chomert, who volunteers his technology expertise and skills to help us set everything up on Zoom and YouTube. And now he's doing both Zoom and YouTube and helping us get set up here with our new system. So Hassan and I have worked together since May of 2020, and this is the first time we've met in person. Let me do a quick review of our procedures here tonight. We ask all Zoom audience members to please turn off your microphone and your video. That reduces background noise for everybody who's on Zoom. You will still be able to see and hear the program. The presentation will be about 40 to 50 minutes or so, followed by a question and answer period. And for those of you on Zoom, we use the chat feature on Zoom, and you can enter those questions in writing on chat anytime during the program. During the question and answer period, I will be checking on the chat questions and will read those to Frank for him to answer. And of course, we'll have questions from the in-person audience here. And if those of you on Zoom want to ask a live question, you can just raise your hand and turn on your mic and your video. Next, we do have a Sharing Our Stories plan for February 28th. Be on the lookout. We just have to cross a couple of T's and dot a couple of I's, but be on the lookout for an announcement coming in the next couple of weeks. So we hope to see you on February 28th here in the library or on Zoom and YouTube. Okay. Now, let me introduce our speaker, Frank Hahn. Frank was to be our October speaker, but he was ill that day, having contracted a virus from his little daughter. So we had to cancel that program, and we're so pleased to have him back here with us tonight to kick off phase 3, our Sharing Our Stories. Frank was born in China and at age 30 emigrated to Canada, eventually making his way here to the United States. So he'll be speaking to us about his immigration journey and the new life he has created for himself here, both professionally and personally. Frank is a business support analyst and is raising a family here in Central Ohio. So I'm very happy to say, welcome, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Hassan, for giving me and Roger, giving me such a good opportunity to share my story here. Oh, you can hear me? Okay, I will try to use the mic. I will try to use speak up louder.
Yeah, we will try maybe that.
How about now? Can you hear me? No. I guess I need to use the microphone.
We tried to set up the microphone beforehand and had some difficulties with it, so we'll see if we can get that working. If not, we might as well go home. Wait a bit. You can probably hear it. Oh, well, never mind, just go ahead.
Try to fix it. Sorry, we have some technical here. The microphone doesn't.
There's a sign of life here. Well, we're the problem people like that. Well, it wasn't sure about I think you
Okay, I will try to raise my voice. How about that? Sorry for the inconvenience. And you can tell I'm not really a good speaker. It's really I speak to a big audience, and I still really appreciate the opportunity to listen to my story. And as I'm introduced, so my name is Frank Han. So I was born in China. Next page. So I was born in Beijing, China, so the capital city of China, and then immigrated to Canada, became a Canadian citizen. When I was 30, when by the time I became a citizen, Canadian citizen, I was 35. And then now I live here, Columbus, Ohio. And I have been married. I met my wife back in college, and I have 2 daughters. A really brief background, and dive into the story. So I want to kind of go a little bit about my hometown, Beijing, and there are 2 pictures in here. On the left-hand side, that was when I left Beijing. It was like that. A lot of single level, not really house, but it is house in room, and we live in a kind of community courtyard type of setup. Only actually there's no really rich people, but some rich people have their own house, like surrounded by the wall. Most of the people, my family, we live in in a room or two rooms, just next to each other with other residents. And you can tell from the picture, actually this photo was probably taken fairly recent, back when I was young. And see there's not many motorcycles, more bicycles. So bicycle was the main transportation for many years in China. When I was in school, in elementary school, I didn't really need to ride because school is very close to my home. But in starting middle school, I started riding bicycles to and from school, and for 6 years every day. And after school, hang out with friends, riding bicycles to many places. So that is a kind of a little background in terms of what the living condition we had back in Beijing. And also there's a special name for this kind of back alley type of street. It's called hutong. So in Beijing, there are thousands of hutong like that. You can drive cars, but there's no place you can really park. You can tell how narrow it is. And on the other side, that's I didn't take the pictures. Credit to the online Google photo. So that is how it looks like nowadays in the Central Business District (CBD) area in Beijing. So a lot of high rises. And actually, when I moved out of Beijing, some of them were there, but not this many. I'm really surprised how many high rises are now and how busy Beijing can become. Right now, there are more than 20 million people living in Beijing. And also, when I was when I was a kid, riding bicycles to a lot of places, I feel more safe. And but now, my brother, I have a brother back in China, and he has 2 boys, and they don't go out on the street by themselves. But back in the days, after school, I will be wandering play with the friends in the neighborhood on the street till sunset, pretty much. And so that's the lifestyle has changed, and the way the parents raise child changed for sure. And speaking, another thing I want to mention a little bit here is education in China. The whole system is different, and I'm from elementary school all the way to college. One of the things is you have to keep in mind, probably there's a stereotype, Asian parents, how strict, how harsh they are treating their children. And there's a reason why, because the competition is out there. There are hundreds of kids try to compete for limited spots in college. So everybody, as long as you want to get a better education, you really have to work hard, work your way through, and get to the spots. So that is I think definitely we brought some of those here to the US. So that's why you probably see the stereotype. And I know we don't do that. My wife and I, we don't really push our kids to go to too many after school activities or after school tutoring programs. But I know some other friends of us do that, which I respect as well. They want their children to have a better life. And but there's kind of a little cultural background difference between the China and probably the rest of the world. And also, speaking of hometown, and I want to mention one more thing is my name, Frank. I shared this story with Roger before. My name is not Frank. Yeah, it's not. My name is Yong, Y-O-N-G in Chinese, And but probably you, if you know other Chinese people here, a lot of them, most of us actually are having an English name like Frank, Peter, John, Terry, or Apple, whatever. And so we pick our own English name usually during the education. And I got my name from classroom. But it was not really from middle school or high school. It was really after I graduated from college. I was not Frank when I was in college. So I started my first job, rental car company. And at that time, my wife and I kind of discussed we want to go, we change our life, having a better job. Actually, that time we kind of plan to move overseas as well. So English is a required skill if I want to have a better job. Because back then, the foreign companies or joint venture companies in China will usually pay more. So learning English was on the agenda. So I started learning and participating in some of the after work schools. And I remember my very first lesson in the school was like a conversations kind of tutoring instead of but back in China, the English education is we learn read first, read, write, and listening. So in that order, which is kind of not really in the natural way, because here you listen first, and then you speak as you start read and write. But in China, you learn how to read, how to write, and the speaking is really at the last. So my speaking was terrible, and listening was not good neither. So and my first tutoring lessons after work was it's taught by a foreign teacher. I remember her name, Maggie. Actually, she was Canadian. And the very first lesson, we sit around. She was going over. Okay, so let's introduce each other, and so everyone start introduce their name, David, Peter, John, whatever. And it was my turn. I told Maggie, I don't have an English name, and she was going, okay, think, how about Frank?
What?
Frank.
Frank.
Yes. I said, I like it. Okay, so that's where my Frank is coming from. And since then, I became Frank. And it did help me the whole tutoring program. So I joined a company called SOS International. So that is a medical assistance company. It's 24-hour or having issues, medical issues, they'll call us.
I can't hear it either. Okay. Sorry, technical issue.
On this one. Okay.
Should you unmute yours?
Thank you.
Should you unmute yours?
So it's coming on speaker. Speaker is on. Keep going.
Okay. It's echo here.
Yeah.
I think it's your laptop is up.
So when you open the speaker, it's take. I don't know. It's good for you. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Still echo. How about now? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. How about the friends on the Zooms? Zoom.
Yeah, they can.
They're great. Okay. Should I start from the beginning? Sorry, my bad. How I should. Okay. Coming to. So we were talking about. I was talking about didn't get the visa come to the U.S. First. I mean, right after 9/11, and then we had a plan B. So what about go to Canada first, which is close to here, and so we kind of planned. Back in the days, even go to Canada is a little hard. Immigrant to Canada, and my wife and I, our background really don't qualify us to be immigrants to Canada, and but there's a not shortcut, but there's a way. We talked to someone and says, okay, how about apply immigration to Quebec? Quebec is different. Yes, they are independent in certain extent. So their policy is, okay, as long as you can speak French, you can come. Well, at least we got our bachelor degrees and everything, but yeah, that's doable. I think at least there's a way. So if there's a way, we can give it a try. And both my wife and I, we started learning French. So after work, both of us went to the kind of a night school to learn French. And I was at that time, actually back in that time, I worked in the night shift. And so actually I go to the school during the day a lot more. And luckily, we spent a lot of time. I have to say that it was not easy. French is hard and definitely harder than English. But ended up the result was not bad. So 10 months after we were ready, and so we submit all the paperwork to the Canadian Immigration Institute. They give us the opportunity to get an interview, basically. And in Hong Kong, it's now in Beijing, and in Hong Kong. So my wife and I, we traveled to Hong Kong, got the interview. I was speaking French at that time. The most of the interview was French, but actually probably a quarter of the rest of the interview was in English. I feel much comfortable speaking English, even though my English was not that great neither, but overall the result was good, positive. We passed. I was a little surprised, but we did it. Unfortunately, after that, I didn't have any chance to speak French, so I basically returned all my French back to my teacher. So, and also we moved to Vancouver instead of Quebec. So the policy is kind of weird. We applied for Quebec, but we didn't have to go to Quebec. And I think they changed later, but yes. So kind of a touch on the Canadian part of it. Maybe I should go to the next page here. Canada. Come to Canada. Well, I touched on the first one, that was why and how I came, because learning French, and so got to Canada. This is a beautiful Vancouver, Granville Bridge in Vancouver. It's a really nice city. We decided to move there for one reason. The weather was great and beautiful too, and we have friends there. This is very interesting, kind of a so coincidence. I want to share this. So my wife and I, we visit Vancouver before we really immigrant, and my wife met her high school friend in the grocery store. Yes, and they were in the line, the checkout line, and her friend Julie was in front of her, and they haven't seen each other for years. And also they were in the same school. My wife was transferred to another school within a year. So they were in the same school now for over a year. However, when they were in the school, they were really good friends. And so my wife was recognized her, thought she was Julie, but was not sure. And she was calling Julie. And then Julie turned. Was that moment my wife was really excited. Finally, met someone, and so really there's a saying in China, old saying, while there's in China, Chinese culture, we have 4 happy events, and one of them is met an old friend in a foreign land. So really that was really great. And so one of the reasons why I want to mention this is Julie and her husband, David, help us a lot. So they help us rent a place to live, get the initial furniture for us, and show me around. When I was there, just to move there, I knew nobody. And took me to the grocery store, get the immigration paper complete, get my cell phone, got the phone, everything. And without them, it will be very difficult for me to really settle down in Canada. So really thankful for them. And I need a job, not only yes.
What year was that?
That was 2005, 2006, 5 and 6. We met my wife met Julie at the end of 2005, and I moved there 2006, basically. So that was how many years? 17 years, 16 years, and yes, it's a long time ago. We still definitely keep in touch, and we just text message each other just a few days ago for Chinese New Year, just send our blessing to each other. Yeah. First job in Canada. Okay, so didn't know anybody. I had a kind of a automobile background. I was a car journalist and looking for a job. Try to get something related. Guess my first job, what was it? I was a car sales. Yes. So actually I was, yeah. And I interviewed a few dealership and actually got a couple offers pretty much right away, and choose a Honda dealership to start my career. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
What was your in Canada?
A car salesperson. Yes. So actually, but before I moved to Canada, some of my friends says probably you can sell cars in Canada, and so I kind of took the advice, give it a try, and actually I ended up really mixed feeling. I have to say, the start of this career is really bumpy, and you can imagine. I know probably all of you have bought a car from the dealership. And actually, the person on the other side of the table is nervous too. Most of them, like me, so they negotiate. So it was really tough start. Not only that, I didn't really have the experience or skill, but also language, English. That time when I was in China, I thought was fine, but really put me into a foreign country, speaking to people on day-to-day, I mean, English day-to-day, it's different story. And so I need to learn, improve my English skill, especially listening was bad. I take any chance to learn English. One of the things is watching TV. Probably you'll be laughing at, and one of the TV shows I watched the most, maybe I shouldn't watch that much, as a cartoon, as South Park. Right. I thought they speak a great American English, and anyway, so learn some English from there. Probably I shouldn't learn some either, but yeah, it's overall good. Enjoying the cartoon, and Kenny is my favorite figure there. He dies every time, every episode. So I got my job, and the English barrier is one thing, but the skill and how to really communicate with people from a different culture is different thing as well. And luckily, I was very frustrated, almost quit right after I started. And luckily, I met people. So I would say people really helping people. One day I was on my day off, I was driving to a beach, and in the parking lot, I like cars. And an old gentleman was driving a vintage car, like a restore vintage car. I was talking to him because I have a camera. I was thinking, can I take a picture of your car? I start talking, and he's American. His name is John Attila, and kind of share my story. So I used to work for Car and Driver magazine, and now I'm a car sales. Really frustrated, and feel like I'm going to fail. And so one thing I remember even now, what he encouraged, or how he encouraged me, is he said, "Listen, if they can do it, you can do it." So I kept that in mind, and whenever I had I had run into any like obstacle or frustrating situation, I keep that in my mind, and it was really helpful. Yeah. So that was my car sales career was kind of I shouldn't say took off, but at least enough for me to have a good living in Canada. And my daughter was born back in 2010. So that's another big milestone for us. And starting them, I feel my life has changed, not 180 degrees. I mean, it's totally different. My responsibility is much more. I need to give her and my family a better living, for sure. And short after that, I became a Canadian citizen. If you know, familiar with the immigration process, you have to be living in Canada or in the US, the same thing, 5 years, and then you can become citizen. So I became citizen, and however, I still had my mind in pursuing higher education. So I, right after my daughter was born, I started learning, spend more time learning, prepare for the exams to get to MBA program in the US. So luckily I passed the GMAT, and my TOEFL score was good enough, and I had a chance to get my higher education here. However, before I go over my life here in Columbus, I want to kind of deviate a little bit, and I want to share my first impression of the US. That was a road trip. Back in 2009, my wife actually, she started her MBA education before me. She got into Rutgers University in New Jersey, and 2009, she needs to go to New Jersey. I say, well, how about we drive there? Yeah. So I was a journalist, car journalist, and I still did something for Car and Driver magazine, China, when I was in Canada. I was a freelancer. And so I borrowed the car, actually. I borrowed a Jeep from Chrysler, Canada. And so we drove the car, we borrowed, that's what the green Jeep you saw in the covering page. So we drove from Vancouver all the way to Newark, New Jersey, and we came down Washington, Oregon, and now I'm going to go through all the states. But that was a lot of driving, for sure. And actually, I stopped here, Columbus, on the way as well, and that gave me really good. I mean, Columbus gave me a very good impression when I was here back then, and so that was the way to there. And next map is kind of on the way back. So I drove quite some states. I think I counted was 25 states, and it's about 10,000 miles, because I was not just to go A to B. I was wandering, was driving around even in one place, and 36 days. So I took a really long vacation and gave me a good time off. And I think that was a life experience. I was really glad that I did it. I'm not sure if I can do it again. Probably not. And I'll show you some photos in the next page. So one of the reasons I can borrow the car from Chrysler is I need to write an article about the trip. And of course, their vehicle will be in the trip. So we'll be on the magazine. And you can see I've been to a lot of places. And the first photo on the top left, I really like it. That was a small town in Idaho, actually. And the photo on the far left top, that was in Nevada, very close to Area 51. And so I was with the alien, my cousin, I found in the desert. Yeah. The photo down at the second row, second to the right, that's you can't really see, it's dark. But you can see from the bottom part of the car on the door, the big dent on the door. It was the first day I left New Jersey. On the way back, I got into an accident in Maryland. I was taking went to the gas station off the highway and back to the highway. I think it was 81. And on the left turn, my turn was, my light is green, and there was a young kid just got the car the same week. I think I got into the accident on Friday. He got the car Tuesday or Wednesday. Didn't pay attention to the light. He was driving straight to me. Well, he said he was playing the stereo. Didn't see the light and got T-boned. Luckily, I got an eyewitness, and one of the eyewitness was a police officer. Couldn't be better than that. Yes, actually, he was really nice. He was on my left, so kind of I protect his car and his passenger, but he took off and get off from the next exit and turn around, come back to be the witness. Really appreciate that. Yeah, American people are great. They are, yeah, really appreciate that. So even improve my impression, but not the young driver, the part of it. Yeah. So just want to share. I have hundreds of photos. I'll just pick some of them here. Okay, how about back to Columbus? Really, the MBA degree. I got the MBA degree at Ohio State, and yeah, I didn't pick up the D part till I really close to graduation. When other people teasing me, oh, you are from the Ohio State. I say, what do you mean, the Ohio State? Oh, that's right. Yes, that is, yes. But yeah, I'm proud of it actually now. So why Columbus? I mentioned earlier, I had a really good impression when I stopped by here on the way to New Jersey on my first road trip. And also my wife's cousin that time lived here, and he actually they showed me around. Really like it, and also like the program, the MBA program at Ohio State. They have very small program, MBA program, but in a big school. So I got better resource and also got more attention from the teacher potentially. So I got my MBA 2014 and got my first job here. Really have to mention Roger, my friend, but he was my boss. And if not for Roger, I won't be here probably. I won't be in Columbus now. Yeah. But I do want to share how we met. Roger was in the program 60 or Project 60. So he started taking license in Fisher Business School, and luckily he was taking the matching supply with demand license class, and the Professor Hill, who taught the class, taught me the semester before. I aced the class, so I gave him a good impression, my Professor Hill. And when Roger talked to Professor Hill, saying, "Okay, well, I'm looking for someone who is analytical and preferably having the automotive background." Professor Hill, not only Professor Hill, my friend Ryan reached out to Roger because he overheard, kind of introduced me to Roger. And so luckily we connected. I still remember the first interview. We planned to have like 30 minutes interview. We ended up having over 30 minutes. It was really long, great conversation. And I guess I gave you a good impression, Roger. Really appreciate that. I mean, Roger gave me the opportunity to to work. Because back that time, I was the oldest one in the class. Finding a job was difficult, especially for a foreign student, because I do need to have a sponsorship from the employer. And also keep that in mind, I had a kind of I made some career changes, and this is the biggest one. And so Roger gave me the opportunity to become an IT professional. Yeah, I guess my MBA education gave me really the technology skill a little bit, but in reality, Roger gave me the lifetime professional skill to at least give me the opportunity to shine in the position. Thank you, Roger. Speaking of job, I want to mention a little bit on the work visa situation. Most of you probably you don't know this, but for a foreign worker, we do need to have a proper immigration status. If I want to work here, I need to have a work visa. And though the work visa system, Hassan may know, it's different. So in order to get a H-1B visa, I need to enter a lottery. So government, every spring, there's a visa lottery, and my name, the company will sponsor me, put my name into the lottery pool, and there's a secret machine, run the lottery, pick up names. So my name didn't get picked 3 years in a row. 3 years, yes. And what's frustrating, Roger did a lot of the work. Janet helped too. But I guess I was lucky. I'm a Canadian citizen. There's another type of visa, work visa, just for Canadian. So again, I had another plan B. Roger and Jenny helped me to get the company sponsor me for the TN visa, which is for Canadian worker, as a plan B. Otherwise, I won't be here because I didn't get the visa 3 years in a row. I ended up got my H1 work visa 5 years after I started. That's okay, but at the end, so happy ending, got the visa and got my green card too. Again, thank you, Roger, for all your great support on this. So a year ago, I got visa, same as when I got green card, same as my family, and my wife, and my older daughter. Oh, my younger daughter, by the way, I forgot to mention, she was a Buckeye baby. She was born in Ohio State Medical Center. My younger one. So I have two girls. She is a U.S. citizen. I was joking when we couldn't get the visa 3 years in a row. I mean, I said, okay, well, our plan C will be when she turns 19, she can sponsor us. U.S. residents. So we have plans. In short, really, you have to have a plan A, B, and sometimes C. But overall, it's good. Love Columbus, and people here are really nice. I've been traveling a lot of places. Really love Columbus. Whenever sometimes my wife and I talking about moving. Not really consider moving, but sometimes my girls playing golf. We consider moving to a southern state so they can play more. The two girls, they don't want to move. Yeah, they will love this place too. All right, so that's a little bit the immigration. Okay, so speaking of my two girls, I got the best job ever, being a parent, and Roger can share this with me too. This is really great. So my older daughter Jody, she was born in Canada, and the younger one Calista, 9 years old. She's turning 10 this coming Sunday. And so she, both of them play golf, and they play very competitive golf. They have won a lot of tournaments, and this is one of the at the end of the tournament. Both of them won, got the blue ribbon medal, and the little on the smaller photo on the top corner, that is the box. They collected the medals. So one for Jody, the other one for Calista. I think collectively they probably won more than 100 tournaments, and really proud of them. Last year, each of them put me on TV. So earlier last year, if you play golf, you know, the Masters probably. And so Calista was qualified for the drive, chip, and putt competition national final, which played at Augusta National the weekend, the Sunday before Masters. So the Calista gave me the first opportunity to be on TV. She was on TV, of course, and I was on TV on Golf Channel. And so Jody, she played really good, and she entered the kind of qualified for another big tournament, junior tournament called Nota Begay, the third junior national final. That's in November, and she was playing on TV, ended up the third place in her age group, and it's really proud of them, and couldn't be proud of more. And so that's their journey is longer a lot. And yes, sorry. Olentangy. Olentangy. It's going to go to Olentangy High. So so the younger one is still in elementary school. She is in the Alum Creek Elementary. Jody is in Shanahan Middle. The Olentangy, yes. Really? He's in the high school team? Nice. Okay, I don't know if he knows. Oh, yes. Jody is 13. She's still in middle school, 7th grade. So Jody is 7th grade. Calista is in the 4th grade. Jody really want to get into the high school so she can play in the high school. Yes, and yeah, I'm really proud of them. And I know we are running a lot of the time. So really, thank you for listening. Yes, open for questions. Thank you. Yes, please.
I will share so many things with you because I came to America a long time ago, and I raised a family. I am a grandmother now, and I went through the same thing, like a work visa and green card and all of that. And now I consider myself a Buckeye. Because really, Americans are very helpful people. When they see us that we are from another part of the world, they go out of the world to help you.
Absolutely.
And for that, I am very, very grateful.
Yes. I feel lucky, really. Just by meeting so many people, and every single one of them are very helpful.
So please say I was rooted in Chile, and then you go through all these ups and downs, but there is always people willing to help you. And that's what at the end we are very lucky people.
Yes.
Take it for maybe when I see my family, and then after a little bit, I am just, this is home. I'm rooted here.
Yes, definitely. I don't think we can move back to China either. I totally agree. Yes, and I think American culture is very inclusive for sure, and I think that's why it's American is great. And
all the opportunities that are here.
Yes.
plenty of opportunities.
For immigrants. And I was a couple weeks ago, I saw a post on Twitter and saying, okay, so look at the top, like a Fortune 50 and the top companies, how many of them are kind of started by immigrants, first or second generation, 50, I think it's like over 30. All of the 50 big companies were raised, started by immigrant, first or second generation. So yes, we are here to build America. Yeah. Yes.
When you think about your life experiences, what was the one thing that you think made the biggest impact to make you want to leave your country, your people, your whatever? What do you think was the one thing? Was there one thing?
You mean leave China? I would say love, because really my wife is a big proponent of living overseas, and before I met her, this was not really on my agenda at all. I was happily living in Beijing. My friends were there, and my lifestyle is really in China. But my wife, so her family background. Here's another thing. She has a cousin here, and a couple cousins in the East Coast. One in Washington D.C., the other one in New York. And so kind of from her family side had not the tradition, but kind of they know, okay, well, moving here, this is a great country, can change our life. So if the one thing, that will be the one thing. There's other than that, we didn't have any kind of political compression or anything like that. No, we didn't. But I would say pursuing a better life, and also my wife. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did your girls get into college?
Good, really good question. You didn't. I don't play golf. Neither my wife. I love soccer and mountain biking, but so why golf is really my friends who has a daughter who play golf, and he kind of give me tell me, okay, this is really good. As American, playing a sport is a big thing, and it's not mandatory, but most of people will play, and why golf for girls? He says the beneficial is just multiple beneficial. The main one actually is get a better education. So there are a lot of scholarship in college giving out to the girls golf team, and scholarship is one thing because financially it doesn't really make sense, because the amount of money we spend taking them to license, playing golf. If we put the money to the mutual fund, I'm pretty sure it will cover their college education. Yes. But however, still back to the competition part of it, getting into college, I'm pretty sure there will be academically capable, but getting to a good college is beyond just academic skills. Be diversified and being really good in certain area will give them better chance to get into the top tier college. So that is the main reason. Of course, they like golf. Once they started, they really like it, so enjoy it. That's why they play. Yeah. I'll come back to you. Yeah, go ahead.
I teach a physics class for Northern, and largely Pakistan. I have one from Vietnam, one from China, and I was shocked at how little education was provided for the Somali women. They had little or no education. So not only did they have to learn the English language, but they didn't have the background. And the first class we had, I asked them to write one sentence about why they want to be an American citizen. Every single person said, I want to vote.
Oh, really? Wow. I don't want to get into the political side of it, but yeah, voting is definitely a big thing. Yeah.
One other thing, 100 years ago, my father came here to America from Romania, and he was rescued from an orphanage to be reunited with his mother, who left him to come to America thinking she'd work for a year or two and send for him. And that didn't happen. So he came to America, she had remarried, had 2 children and a stepfather who didn't want him here.
Ooh.
But he made a promise that every one of his 7 children would have a good education, and not all went to college, but they all thrived. And I didn't realize how important education was for him. He told me as a first grader that I was going to college. And then he wasn't satisfied that I just had a first degree, but he wanted me to get my master's.
Mhm.
And he also said, well, now you can get your doctorate. So I just think education, particularly for immigrants, is so vitally important. And many of us as US citizens don't realize how important it is for immigrants. And they want to make sure that their children have a better life than they have.
Totally agree. Yes, my wife's side of it, her family really give education really high regards. That's another reason why her cousins are here for higher education, master degrees, PhDs. And I totally agree that education is the way, is to give you the kind of the ladder that you can climb up, not only just to settle here as an immigrant, but really having a real life here. Yeah, I agree. And yes.
Frank, is there an active Chinese American community here in Columbus that you participate in? And a second question, have you been able to return to China to visit them?
The first question, yes, I play soccer with a Chinese community here every week. So I know just a little circle here. And also, I know actually a lot of my soccer friends they belong to maybe a couple churches. Most of them go to one, I actually probably in Worthington. Not sure which one. And definitely there's Chinese community here. My wife and I, we are relatively a little nerdy. We don't really go out that much. So we have, but for sure we know there's Chinese communities here in Columbus. And the next question, going back to China, we haven't gone back for a long time. While the pandemic is the one main reason. China just released their COVID restriction, the travel restriction a month ago. And now everybody got COVID. 80% of them, my family, knock on the wood, my parents are still fine. They haven't got it yet, but probably one day they will. But my brother, his family, and his in-law, they all got COVID. As far as I know, there's a lot. But we plan to travel back, and that's definitely if it is possible. And if it is possible, we really want to take our daughter back, and they've been back a couple times, but they were young. They haven't been back for 5 years, I think. So we do want them to go back to see, and I'm not saying they consider them American more than Chinese, which is definitely is fine. But I want them to know they're Chinese, and that's where at least their parents are from, and definitely don't want them hide their identity. Want them to be proud to be a Chinese, and to be originally from China. And that's the thing. That's why we kind of my wife and I we speak Chinese at home and talk to them in Chinese as well. I would like them to keep a little culture diversity. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
When playing soccer.
Yeah.
Do you play with other players that are from other nations?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah. Like, because soccer is very big in Latin America, very
Yes.
big. So,
Yeah, we one of this year I don't go to Dublin much over there. Yes, I know Saturday sometimes we play with a group of people from Jordan, and so in the tomorrow there will be another match with Mexican people, indoor game. Yes, sometimes, yeah, but most of them are Chinese, and we are old. We don't play that competitive. Yeah. Yes.
To me.
Yeah.
It's condo complex and they don't speak English. We've been here for 10 years, but he carries an app on his phone. And we talk to each other about.
Oh, translate. Hey, oh my God.
And so anyway, we all had Christmas lights and so forth for Christmas, but he didn't put his away. He had his lights out. Interesting, but there's still lights. Okay, so when I thought morning or yesterday, so we had to talk through the app. But I asked him if he celebrated New Year. So yes, he was. That was a big deal.
Yes,
It's a very bright experience to have other people around you. Yes, great. I never thought I'd get that happen, but I get to talk to him on phone.
probably in the future. I'm surprised too. Yeah, I'm surprised too. Yeah, I guess in general we are lovely. Yes. Well, I guess one of the things is when we really in general, when Chinese people are humble, and when we move to a new community, we try to blend in, so at least try our best. But your neighbor doesn't. The fact they don't speak English, I guess I don't know if they have reach out to any other community, Chinese community members to help them, because if they go to the Chinese church or the church that those people go, they could get help. Yeah. Yes.
Think about it. Yesterday, somebody installed New Balance kitchen board, and it was a old man from China and his son. He couldn't speak any English whatsoever, and I would say he was probably in his 50s, and the son was probably 20 in his teens. But his son did a whole translating for him. But they did the job, did a great job. But it was interesting because that father knew absolutely not. I would make comments to him even. He just, yeah, didn't know anything at all.
See this is the signs here will be very helpful. But usually, as far as I know, I know some Chinese people when they move overseas, they don't speak English. But usually those people, they don't really come to Columbus. They will go to San Francisco, New York. The Chinese community is much larger in those big cities. and they don't really have to speak Chinese, I mean English. They can just go to the Chinese store and grocery store, to the bank, and really they can speak very little English. A lot of people in Vancouver like that. They don't speak English. Yeah.
As the saying goes, in Rome, ask, do what the Romans do, but how are you going to do unless you somehow know a little bit of the language?
I know.
So
And-
it's wonderful that we have so many Chinese communities here in America.
Yeah. Glad to be here. And yes. Oh, that's okay. I picked one name and for her, but she abandoned that name. So then she just used her Chinese name. Her Chinese name is much easier to pronounce. Mine was kind of weird. Her name is Jingjing, so easier to pronounce. Jingjing, Jing, so Jingjing, easier to pronounce. So she doesn't have it. If my name is Yong, it's kind of hard. And also I have Frank. Everybody knows me as Frank. So I like my name. Yeah.
Are you still in the auto industry where you're doing IT now?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the company name. Oh man. So yeah, I work for a company called Tech International or Technical Rubber Company. That's the real name. So it's in auto industry. We make tire repairs. So the rubber patches, different shape, size of tire repairs, and the chemicals. Some of the chemicals that the mechanic will use to repair tires. Yeah, so the company is family owned, and this is 80, how many years? 39 to now is how many years? When I started was 75 years. So now it's almost 84, yes. Next year, I mean this summer, 84. Yeah, so I started in Johnstown, Ohio, and we have a manufacturing facility here in Johnstown, and also a factory in China to make tire repairs. And also we have distribution center in Belgium, Japan, and Brazil. We used to have we closed the Thailand distribution center. So, but yeah, we have a global footprint, and our customers are all over the place. Yeah. Roger.
So, I mean, just to put it back to Frank, in my 25 years, I would play the best thing I did for the company.
Thank you, Roger. That means a lot. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you write anymore?
I'm sorry.
Do you write articles?
Oh no, not really. No, not really. Don't do it anymore. Still, when I was in Vancouver, I did some. I had more time. Now I have 2 daughters and spend lots of time taking them to practice, playing in tournaments, traveling, and yeah, just traveling is a lot. In every year, I think I put it. I don't know since yeah, travel a lot. Yes, Kay. Yeah. Okay. I'm really lucky. I was so the one-child policy was 1977. 76 is the year they started, but was not very strict. So I was born in 76. I made the cut. Yes. Okay, I was lucky. Yes. Oh yes. I think the Chinese government will very soon do the reverse policy. Will encourage people give more birth. It's last year China had the lowest birth rate in history, I think. I mean, not in history, but in the recent years. And well, first year can decline last year. So he's older than me. He's actually 7 years older than me. So when I was young, we didn't really play together because I was too little. And so he works for actually for government to a certain extent, and he has 2 sons. I have 2 daughters, so my parents are happy. They got 2 years. Yes, his wife is his wife is younger than me. But other than that, I mean, he's happy because the life in China, if basically probably it's more like the life for American people who lives in America. You don't really worry too much. When I was here, before I got the green card, even I was not really settled because in the back of my head, I know one day I may be deported. I lost my visa. I may need to move till I got a green card. So the lifestyle for my brother, he enjoyed his life. He didn't want to move out, and same as my sister-in-law, they just want to stay. And luckily they stay there because my parents are getting old. So at least we can live here, and my parents can get can get my brother taken care of. So we ran over time. Sorry for the technical issue too.
Just get on Zoom here for a second.
Absolutely, go ahead.
I just wanted to check in with our Zoom audience and see if there was anyone who wanted to ask a question. If so, just turn on your mic and. Okay, thank you. I want to say thank you, Frank. What a wonderful talk. I've heard many through sharing our stories and other venues, stories of immigration, and I'm always so moved by them. The courage and the work ethic, and how fortunate we are in America to have immigrants here strengthening our country and contributing to the welfare of all of us. And we have 3 wonderful examples right here. So I thank you for being with us tonight. You started by saying that you were not a good public speaker. I would have to disagree. So thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. What a wonderful start to our in-person programming. And I hope I'll see you again on February 28th, right here.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.